certified, it was valid for 1 year, and the pattern of the questions was sort of different. So starting 2017, Marketo has completely revamped the certification model, and now Marketo focuses on a lot of scenario-based questions when it comes to the Marketo Certified Expert exam. So it's fairly technical, and the recommended, for people who are targeting this, the recommended time they should have worked in Marketo is about 800 to 1,000 hours, as it's mentioned here. I mean, closely, I would say about close to 2 years, a year and a half or two. And yeah, that's again a great certification to have, and that basically assesses and gauges your foundation level knowledge in Marketo. Coming to the MCSA, so I've been, listening and hearing to a lot of questions around MCSA as to who is eligible and how is it done. So to talk a little bit on it, MCSA is Marketo Certified Solutions Architect. So the biggest catch over here is that you need to be a Marketo partner in order to be eligible for an MCSA. So it's not open to Marketo customers or other Marketo users. You have to be a Marketo partner. Once that eligibility criteria is met, then unlike the other two certifications, this is not an exam-based certifications, which means that you need to earn badges. How you earn badges is there are different topics in Marketo that Marketo gives. So you should have worked on those topics on real-world scenarios and cases with other clients. For example, MLM, which is Marketo Lead Management, that covers lead scoring, lead nurturing, and the entire lead journey, right? So you should have cases that it's just like a PhD thesis. So you should have a presentation where you actually tell how you strategize the journey, how you worked on the journey, how you worked with the client, your entire case study, and you present that in front of a panel of Marketo judges. And once you qualify for that, that's when you are awarded the Marketo Certified Solutions Architect exam. Again, the Marketo Certified Solutions Architect is forever. So a person who earns that, the certification is there for good. The only criteria being that you should keep renewing your Marketo Certified Expert from time to time. Which certification suits you? So, like I mentioned before, anybody who has been using Marketo from, say, 1 to 1.5 years, or, just doing basic stuff like creating emails, uploading lists, or working with email programs, etc. They are the people who can target the Marketo Certified Associate exam. It's a great prerequisite to have before you target the Marketo Certified Expert. Folks who have been working on Marketo for more than 1.5 years to close to 3 years are the folks who can target the Marketo Certified Expert exam. Like I said, since there is a lot of scenario-based questions, it benefits all of you to actually have a good hands-on on Marketo before you go ahead for the Marketo Certified Expert exam. And folks who are Marketo partners who meet that basic eligibility criteria can target the Marketo Certified Solutions Architect exam for anybody who has worked in Marketo for more than 42 months and basically above around 3 to 4 years, because that's the time when one would have actually worked with several clients on several case studies and advanced features like ABM, RTP, and Content AI, etc., like Rajat mentioned. So yeah, that's about it. So becoming a Marketo Certified Expert. So coming to the next slide. Yeah, so these are some basic good to know facts about the Marketo certification exam. So the Marketo certification exam is basically broken down into 5 parts, which is program fundamentals, targeting and personalization, analytics and reporting, lead management, and implementation and operations. And you can see the weightage that is given to each of these sections over here. The exam itself is 90 minutes and it's divided into 75 multiple choice questions. So the good news is you don't have any subjective questions to write an essay or answers like that. It's all in there. The Marketo certification, like I said, the new certification exam starting 2017, that's valid for 2 years. And the passing score is 70%, which means that out of the 75 questions, you need about 51 or 52 questions correct in order to get the passing score. The price for the Marketo certification exam is $225. Earlier, I think it was about $150. So now it's $225, which roughly amounts to about 15,500 rupees in Indian currency. And there is only one attempt now, which means that if you can't clear the first attempt, you would have to repurchase the Marketo certification exam at full cost. And those are the given links over there. So, Criterion Web Assessor is the portal that hosts the Marketo certification exam. So you can sign up and register over there. And the last line, which is, the exam topic list, is hyperlinked over there. So I would highly recommend all of you to go ahead and visit that and check out the Marketo certification exam sample questions as well.
Yep, and we are going to get into details of each of these in these following slides.
Yep. Yeah, so stages for becoming a Marketo certified expert. This is particularly interesting. So I would categorize the stages into study, practice, qualify, register, and appear, right? So going on to the first part, which is study. So this basically focuses around the resources that are available for studying Marketo, right? So I have gotten a lot of questions around, on LinkedIn and the community, like, where do we get started and how to get started? So my first and foremost suggestion is visit docs.marketo.com, Marketo Product Docs. So Marketo Product Docs is absolutely the Bible for Marketo. I mean, you can find anything and everything that is related to Marketo in Marketo Product Docs. There are a lot of practice exercises, content, and it keeps getting revised from time to time as and when Marketo launches new stuff. The second thing is the Marketo community. And honestly, I mean, the community is one of the best things that happened to me because it has got just so much of resources and discussions going around. I mean, and I would highly recommend all of you to go ahead and join this group, that is Marketo certification group. So this has tons and tons of discussions around what are the latest trends that are going on in Marketo certification exam. Like, what are the new stuff that are included, or what are the new topics that are getting included into the Marketo certification exam. Just as a random example, when I gave my certification back about a year and a half back for the second time, and I did not bother studying about champion challenger tests, or that's a relatively new feature that was included most recently, and there was not much going on. And one of my teammates who recently attempted the exam said that there were quite a few questions from champion challenger as well, which was not there at my time. So all of this sort of discussions are there on the community. So it's extremely recommended you visit and join this group on the community and be engaged in this group. Last and foremost, I would recommend all of you to visit the exam topic list that is there on the Marketo site itself. It is hyperlinked over here. So, like I said, a lot of questions are scenario-based questions. So this Marketo website, they have given topic-wise distribution of, what sort of scenarios should you practice on, or should you know in order to, crack the Marketo certification exam. Next slide, please. Yeah. So, the 5 sections that I talk about in which they are divided. So those are the subdivisions of, useful links per se that you can refer to while preparing for the certification exam. So in program fundamentals, for example, it is extremely important for you to know, or a Marketo user to know, as to what a program is, what are the different types of program. Like, know the fact that program is a module that contains all the assets, and that is the module that you can use to do all your marketing efforts and generate all your marketing efforts towards. So understanding what an event program is, what a default program is, what an engagement program is, and when do you use these for specific targeted marketing efforts. Targeting and personalization, understanding dynamic content, differences between segmentations and smart lists, best practices for smart lists. So I don't know, I mean, how many of you have used Marketo Sky, but that's relatively a new feature. And, Marketo is bringing on tons of new features when you talk about smart lists and, the flow steps. Like these days, for folks who are using Marketo Sky, I use this regularly so that, you can save a set of rules. There are a lot of times where smart list size gets extremely huge, and creating them each time could get time consuming. So Marketo Sky has this feature of creating a set of rules and reusing them again and again, and that's extremely useful. And it's extremely beneficial for everyone to know all these things when it comes to preparing for the certification. Implementation and operations. So understanding basic assets, understanding forms, understanding local assets versus global assets in a program, as to, when an asset is called local and when an asset is called global. The benefit of global assets, as to, I mean, they are created in the design studio and they can be accessed globally, facts like that. Marketo forms is another feature that is I mean, a lot of questions comes in the Marketo certification exam based on forms, like which form feature is used in this specific scenario. So progressive profiling, visibility rules, the lightbox feature, all of them are all these features. It's extremely beneficial for one to know when preparing for the certification exam.
Yep. And adding on to that, like these are just some of the topics that are popularly covered in the MC exam. But that being said, there are other topics in the Marketo docs as well, which may become from where the questions might come. So it's always a good idea to go and study that. And this should be used as a reference.
Absolutely, absolutely. And quickly covering analytics and reporting. The reporting is a particularly interesting part because, I mean, there are a ton of scenario-based questions that come out of reporting. I mean, basically, if you know what sort of report is used for what, then you can basically, it's a relatively easy topic to learn. And lead management, which basically talks about scoring. What are the types of scoring? There are demographic scoring, behavior scoring. When do you use this? How can you leverage scoring? So that comes under lead management basically. So you can visit those links, and that would be extremely useful.
Okay. The next one is to practice.
Yeah. So yeah. So basically in practice, once you study and once you complete your preparation, the next extremely crucial step is practicing. Now, again, I've been getting a lot of questions over LinkedIn and the community as to, how can we get started, or, is there a trial version or anything like that? So the unfortunate news is Marketo does not offer any trial version or a trial sandbox to work on. So the basic prerequisite is you either need to be a Marketo partner or a Marketo customer in order to be learning and using Marketo, right? So that's the first one. And to get started, so personally, when I started off, quick wins in market, if you visit docs.marketo.com, you can just search quick wins, and it's also hyperlinked over here. So that talks about very basic tasks like creation of assets like landing pages, emails, and very basic stuff, creation of programs, and how do you do basic stuff around. So you can keep that in, and I recommend using 2 monitors while learning Marketo, because in one screen you can keep the guide, that is the quick wins, open, and in the other screen you can practice on the sandbox. So that really gives you that's really served to be helpful. And in this process, you also learn to use test filters and inculcate the habit of testing everything, because as and when you learn Marketo and you get into complex program, one will realize, and Rachin can vouch for it, that how important is testing. It may it be engagement program, lead scoring program, or any complex program. Testing is extremely important before it is live and presented to any live scenario.
Yeah, that's very important. Like from my personal experience, I can tell you that everything that I've created in my overall career in marketing automation and Marketo, there is always an extra pair of eyes who looks at that, just to make sure that there are no errors. And secondly, when different people are looking at something, there are always better way to do those. So that testing is very important.
Absolutely.
After practicing, I would like to I would share some details on how do you make sure that you're ready for the test. Now that the test is, the Marketer certified exam has only one attempt and it's fairly expensive. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
It's very important that you prepare for the test in the right manner and you appear for the test when you feel you are ready for it. So how do you do your self-assessment? So there are a couple of different ways on that by which you can do that. You can look at different sample questions that Marketo has shared. So on the Marketo community, we have different sample questions for different topics. So it might be a good idea to look at all of those questions. Then try looking in Marketo community. There are many discussions that happen regarding the Marketo exam in the Marketo community. So look at those discussions. Then it would be a really good idea to connect with the other fellow Marketo users who have cleared the certification exam. They can always give you some tips around what kind of questions come and try to, maybe they can quiz you, but it's always helpful because firstly, it makes sure that you're fully prepared to appear for the exam, and it reduces the overall time as well as the cost that goes in getting the certification. After you feel you're ready, you can go ahead and register for the exam. So The registration for the Marketo exams happen on Marketo Web Assessor. So it's a third-party tool which manages all these certifications for Marketo. So it would be a very good idea. So that's where you go, and it has different options. So when you go register there, you have an option to either take the exam in an online manner or in an offline method. So online is like simply you go to the web portal, you launch the exam, and you can start filling in the answers. Or offline is where there are some testing centers that are authorized in India as well as in different parts of the world where you can go, and whenever the or whichever date you have registered for the exam, you can go in and sign up.
And an extremely crucial thing over here is, although you have an option to reschedule your exam, please make sure that you do it 72 hours in advance. Because if you cross that 72-hour window, and let's say if there is only 1 day left before you think you want to reschedule, then again there is a charge for it, which I think it's about $115. So make sure you reschedule your exam 72 hours in advance if you have booked so. And please make sure to have a high-speed internet connection and a webcam as a compulsory requirement for those of you who are giving the exam online. So Rachit will, talk
Yeah.
more about that.
So after you have registered and the day when you're appearing for your exam, make sure that you have completed your biometrics. So this is something that happens via an app that WebAssessor gives. So it's a software that gets downloaded on a system, and you have to complete the biometrics and make sure it's properly installed, because that's the main software which is gonna run your test.
Yeah.
Then Marketer recommends using an external web camera and not using the inbuilt cameras which are in laptops, to make sure that there are no disruptions happening. So whenever there's an online test happening, there is a strong chance that someone from Marketo or WebAssessor would be looking at you when you're giving the exam. And there have been scenarios where they'll ask you to rotate the camera and show them the room, your table, to make sure that there is no one else who's helping you with that. Then, like Karan mentioned, it's very important to get a high-speed internet, because if the speed is slow, there are chances that the exam could stop in between and it will restart. So it doesn't cancel your exam, but it gets a little frustrating when your exams get stopped in between and you have to like start again and then go to the questions that you were attempting.
Yeah.
Then try to attempt all the questions and always trust your training. Like there would be some scenarios where the questions would be a little tricky, and we'll cover that in the following slides. But make sure that you're very clearly reading the question and try to understand what Marketer is exactly asking. Then all questions are multiple choice questions. There is no negative marking. And since you have 75 questions which have to be answered in 90 minutes, so keep a close watch on time. Make sure that you're not spending too much time on each question. So something that you have been doing in your schools and colleges, similar strategy. And if there is something that you don't know, just mark it as review later and come back to that question at the end of the exam.
And I previously mentioned, since there are scenario-based questions right now, I personally know a fact when you've got questions that's as big as a paragraph, and if and it could be confusing, it could be really confusing. So, but the key point to make sure is that you do not spend too much time on such questions, and use the review functionality or bookmark functionality to the most in such cases, so that you at least make sure you answer questions that you actually know.
Okay. Once you have appeared and if all goes well, that's when you become a Marketer certified expert and you earn your badge and the certificate.
And that's a great feeling. I trust me. I mean, talking from personal experience, that's an amazing thing to have.
It is actually.
Yeah.
Some of the sample questions that could come in your MC exam, and you'll see there are some questions which are going to be very straightforward. Like on the top of it, they might appear very easy, but there is always some twist with Marketer. So make sure that you read the question very carefully and understand what's required. So, like as an example, like if you get a question where you are asked to analyze the contribution of marketing in terms of the leads that have been generated over the past 3 years, which type of report would you run? So there are people who would either look at lead by status report or lead performance report or lead by revenue stage report. These three look very similar in nature because all of these three are pulling the data from leads. But the correct answer is lead performance report because that's where you can go and you can group the data on the basis of sources and you can select the time period for the report.
Yeah.
Then another tricky one, and this actually comes a lot, like do expect something coming up
Yeah.
regarding landing page reports or landing page URLs in the MC exams. So as an example, like if a marketing manager recently launched a landing page with the following URL and they want to keep the content same, but they want to update the URL to go to something else, how can they do it? So by default, like by hunch, it says that we go to the URL builder in admin. But the twist is that there is nothing like URL builder in admin section. There is a URL builder that exists, but it's on landing pages in Marketer. And the correct answer for that would be edit URL settings. So these are small things which you might be doing on a day-to-day basis, but there are questions that you're going to get where you'll have to remember that where something existed. So it could be as simple as like whether channels come under tags or whether tags come under channel. So questions like those. So there would be some tricky questions that come. So another one that usually comes is regarding forms. So definitely expect something coming regarding either the professor profiling or visibility rules that you have in the form. So as an example, like if you have 3 mandatory fields on your form and you have 5 additional fields that you want to ask over time, and each time you want to make sure that only 5 fields are visible to the user, which option would you choose? So like there are people who might be confused that number of blank fields have to be 5 because in total 5 fields have to be visible, but the correct answer for this would be A, where like 3 fields are mandatory and 2 additional fields have to be coming up each time. So these are some of the questions, and there are many such questions on the links on the Marketer community pages. We have included those links in the deck here. And coming to the second last section, before we come into that, I just want to look at the questions that we've got so
Yeah, I
far.
was just about to say we have a few questions here as well. So some have come in the chat and some is in the
Okay,
QA
yeah,
section.
I'm just looking at. So negative marking. So there is no negative marking that happens in MC exam. So it's always good that if you don't know about something, go ahead and still attempt it. Not going to be any negative marketing. Then there is a question regarding after MC, what should a person prepare for as solution architect? And if they have a precondition of being a partner. So if you're already a partner, for MCSA, you have to reach out to the marketer support team and they'll send you they have a form template that you have to fill in where you have to explain what are the kind of projects you have done and what's your experience in different elements within Marketo, like how much experience you have in ABM, how much experience you have with RTP, etc. So they'll ask you those questions, and then like Karan mentioned, there's a system of earning badges. So Marketer has like 7 8 different topics and you have to present case studies on those
Yeah,
topics.
and the three are the mandatory numbers. So you need to have at least 3 badges, which means 3 case studies, out of which MLM is a compulsory
Yeah.
badge you have to earn. So other badges include account-based marketing, admin, integration, center of excellence. So you've got several badges, and just I think the question that I perceive also from this is the person has asked that how can you become a marketer partner. So that is not really something that's in our hands, that's in the organization's hands. So Marketo has got silver partners, bronze partners, platinum partners. So each of those partnership levels, companies have to qualify a certain criteria to attain that partnership level, and there is a high cost involved in that as well. So that is something that the organization has to deal with Marketo in order to see which sort of partnership that they want to get with Marketo. And once you are working in an organization that is a Marketo partner, that's when you are eligible for the Marketo Certified Solutions Architect.
Okay. Next question, can we expect questions from attribution? Yes, you can and you should. There have been scenarios where you might get some mathematical questions from the attribution, where they might ask you that how do you want to attribute a particular opportunity on the basis of the first touch model or the last touch model. So in the deck, in one of the previous slides, we included a link for the attribution exercises. So usually, like, the questions that come in the MC exam are not very different from the exercises that we have on the docs section. So, and it's not very hard. Like, you just have to understand how attribution works. And once you understand that logic, it's really easy to attempt those questions.
Somebody has also asked about the price for Marketo Certified Associate, and
Yeah, so Marketo Certified Associate is
$95.
Sorry, $95.
$95, yeah.
Yeah, it's $95. So it's going to be costing you around like 8K in INR. So not very expensive, but it's a good thing to get started after you have worked in Marketo for like 3.5 months or 6 months, and then pick them up.
And the good part is, like I said, it does not expire. So once somebody earns it, you can have it for good.
Okay. Then yes, we would be forwarding the PPT after the completion. So you can always refer to the links that we have in the deck and use this deck as a reference. Then there's an interesting one. Someone has cleared MCE in Jan 2019, and what kind of career should you be expecting? So this depends on since when you have been working in Marketo. So if you have been working in Marketo for 2-3 years and you just cleared your MCE, so the experience matters, and it also matters like on which side of the business you are. Are you currently working in an agency for marketing automation, or are you working in a company which is using Marketo for its own? So each of these would have different growth paths. So typically the agencies would have slightly faster growth in terms of your designations and in some cases the monetary part. However, that being said, if you're working in a company which is using Marketo for their own marketing, and they in that case also, like, you would get a chance to work on many different projects, and eventually the growth might be slightly slower, but once you start getting good growth, then a lot of value gets added on that. So it's always important to try to get a balance in your career in terms of experience with marketing automation. Try to work with some agencies so that you are able to understand what are the different kind of challenges or projects that different clients have, and then also try to spend some time within a company that uses Marketo for its own purpose, so that you have a fairly good idea on, I would say, what are the enterprise problems that are happening. So when you're working for a company, like, you would have more visibility on the challenges that marketing is having and the sales team is having, and how you can get more sales alignment. So that again is an opportunity. Then there are some questions which are technical to Marketo, so we are not going to take that at this point because we really want to restrict ourselves to the Marketo certification exam.
And on the technical part, we have, hyperlinked all the useful links, the topic links and everything which can be referred to. And we are going to be posting the recording for this and the slides on the Marketo Community India user group as well. So all of you can access that from there. And somebody has also asked MCA exam info, please. So Marketo Certified Associate, like I said, it's a beginner level certification. Anybody who has spent about 3 to 6 months can go ahead and attempt that. And all the details are again hyperlinked on the slides.
Maybe I can tell a little bit. So MCA usually has 60 questions, again a 90-minute test, and it costs $95. And the minimum passing percentage is slightly higher at 76%. And it happens in the same format like an MCE.
Yeah.
Then
somebody just asked, I'm a Marketo certified expert. Is it necessary to take the certified associate exam? No, it's not.
No. So since you're already an expert, you really don't want to get the certified associate exam because that's at a lower level, and your MCE credential proves that you have enough experience in Marketo, so you really don't have to rely on that. Then I just want to. Okay, any insights around RTP or content AI? So these are the topics that we would be covering in the future. So we would be getting more technical. We would be picking up technical topics in the future. Then what else do we have? What are the daily responsibility of marketer admin? So that again is a very long discussion, and it again could take a whole session. We would definitely love to pick that up at some point. Meanwhile, I would recommend that you go to the marketer community, and there is a document which explains this. It's from Darren Alfonso, who is a marketer champion, and he has created a document that clearly explains what are the roles and responsibilities of a marketer admin.
And for those of you who are asking a lot of technical questions, the good news is that, this is there in the last slide, but I just want to tell that upfront that after this, we are going to be launching a poll or a vote where, we want to hear from you as to what are the topics that you want to hear from us and what are the topics that you want our Marketo evangelists to speak upon. So go ahead and, put everything out all there so that we can plan our future sessions accordingly and include the topics that you want to hear.
Okay, and feel free to email if you have more questions. We have just 5-7 minutes left, so coming on to the last topic. Karan, you wanna talk about this?
Absolutely, yeah. So how to train your teams? So this is particularly applicable for folks who have spent some time in Marketo, are Marketo certified experts, and perhaps are handling a team of say 5 to 7 or 8 to 9 certified experts and handling several projects at a time. So as a leader, if you want to train your teams and get your teams certified, the first and foremost activity is assessing the readiness of your team, as gauging as to where your team stands presently. As a leader, you want to know as to, how you, every single individual in your team as to how long have they been working in Marketo, what are the different projects that they have worked on Marketo in either in your organizations or in the previous organizations. And based on which you want to create a skill mapping matrix or, a set of skills in Marketo, which actually you can list down in a spreadsheet, sit with your team, have one-to-one discussions and make sure that what level of knowledge do they have? Do they just have theoretical knowledge? Do they have practical knowledge? Or that's an area that they are yet to work upon. So for example, let's say landing page is one of my topic in the Excel sheets, right? So I'm going to be sitting with person A and I'm going to be asking, have you actually created a landing page? If not, then, what is the level of, so once you gauge that level of knowledge as to what your team has actually worked upon, then you can create customized training that are targeted specifically for your team and which sort of complements the weaknesses and you can make sure you can strengthen them, right? So once the readiness is assessed, then you can either deliver your trainings, the customized trainings in the form of presentations, or it can just be a session where you just connect your system to a projector and open up the Marketo sandbox or the Marketo training workspace and go along with your team from topic to topic on a practical basis. That is another way to go about it. And once all the trainings are completed, it's a great idea to sort of have a mock test or assess their readiness as to to make sure as to what all have they absorbed after your training. So that will give you a fairly good idea. And based on the the post assessment mock, what you can do is you can keep cutoff percentages. So somebody who attains 60% to 70% can be targeted for Marketo certified associate. Somebody who scores above 80% can be targeted for Marketo certified expert. So that really is subjective and depending upon your team's present skill level and how do you want to set those cutoff. So those are the best practices for training your team to get and become train them to become Marketo certified experts.
Okay. All right. To wrap up, what's coming up next in the India Marketer User Group? So like I mentioned in the start of the session, we are planning that we'll do the next event somewhere in the last week of April or the first week of May. So we would be deciding the date after the Marketer Summit once we have more clarity. And we would love to do a breakdown of what happens at the Adobe Summit, and we would be discussing the highlights and what more we should be focusing on for 2019 in terms of Marketo and the sessions. We would try to host a special guest and a Marketo evangelist to speak and share their views on the trending topics. So we'll try to get an external speaker.
And the next point is what I was stressing about, which is, we are going to be launching a survey where we want to hear from all of you as to what is it that you want to hear. Is there any specific topics? For example, I was researching on APIs the other day, and I got in touch with Amit, who is again there in our group, and perhaps this call as well. So Amit has done a great job launching his own blog where there are a lot of interesting tips and tricks that are given on marketing automation. So
Yeah, I think he has a LinkedIn tag. He has a hashtag marketer tips or something.
yeah, that's right.
So try to follow that particular hashtag on the LinkedIn for him.
Absolutely. And so we are going to be launching a survey. So it would be really helpful for us to know from you firsthand as to what are the topics you want to hear, so that we can target these virtual sessions accordingly. And like today also we have had amazing engagement, and thanks to all of you for that. And if this continues, we can perhaps host virtual sessions every month if that's a feasibility. So yeah, we would love to hear from you. And last but not the least, this is again an amazing news and a very recent development. So I would be attending the Marketo Summit this year, and a panel of virtual Marketo user group leaders, including me, are hosting a live broadcast right from the Marketo Summit itself. So that live broadcast is happening on 27th, the Wednesday, 12 noon Pacific Standard Time. I know it's going to be pretty late here in India, but for folks who really want to get to know about what's happening at the summit, or what is the breaking news, or is there any special announcement that has happened on the keynote, do sign into this and you will get the live broadcast. And again, like Rachit mentioned, towards the end of April or beginning of May, we will have another conclusive sessions where there would be a marketer evangelist, and we'll do a complete breakdown step by step as to what happened at the summit and what are the new trends that you can look forward to and learn to keep up with the marketing trends.
Okay. So if you have any suggestions, feedback, feel free to email it to me or Karan. We would be sharing this deck. So we'll be putting the deck on the Marketer user group. And feel free to join the group if you haven't done that already. The link for that is already in the deck. And Karan and I will also try to share this on LinkedIn. And looking forward to more engagement in the future. And if there's anything else that you want us to cover, feel free to reach out.
Let's get this group rolling.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Wishing all of you a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.